Welcome to another episode of Forgotten Coast Fishing. We're not going to be out on the water today. I've got to finish up this project. What I need to finish up is getting this water and electricity hooked up to the pole barn. Now, we had this pole barn installed right about a year ago. Since then, I've just been running electrical cord and hose across the yard, and I want to go ahead and get something permanent in there. Just to kind of catch you up to speed, I've got electricity over here at this pole, and I've already got a couple circuits installed in this box, and I've already run the electricity through this ditch that I've dug. And that's going to go all the way out to this pole barn. That's where I'm going to hook up the plumbing, and stay tuned to the end. I've got a plumber buddy of mine told me a good way to hook up that, so that'll probably be my last step, so stay tuned for that. Then I'm going to run both lines, electricity and plumbing, all the way to the pole barn. I'm going to have a main hookup for my electricity right here. I've got a pretty big box for that. I'll show you that. That's going to feed off to this receptacle on that second post right there, and I'm going to put a water spigot on that first post, and same thing over here. I'm going to put a water spigot on this first post, electricity on that second post. Then I'm going to extend this electricity over to the pole barn. I've got a chest freezer I'm going to store in there for bait and ice, and as well as lights in there. All right, so our first step is to get this electricity hooked up. The first thing I ran into is from the pole to this first pole where I'm going to do the main hookup and then have all my splits come out from there. I've got quite a bit of wire coming in there, and the box I had at first was not going to be big enough. That was this box, and there was just no way I was going to get all those wires. So what I came up with, I went back to Home Depot and picked up this 6" by 6" box, and then just used a paddle type blade. This ended up being a 1" blade to just drill the holes through this, because this doesn't come with holes already. Got the little PVC connectors, put a little bead of silicone underneath, and then put the bolts on inside. This wire you can put in the ground and not have to use conduit. Now you're going to need to use conduit coming out of the ground up to your receptacles and that kind of thing, so it doesn't get damaged. But underground you can just use just the wire, which makes things a lot easier. So we're going to go ahead and start our process of first off hooking up our main hookup, where our wires are going to branch off using this box, and then we'll take it from there. All right, I want to show you kind of one thing I do when I'm hooking big wires like this. This is 10 gauge wire. Sometimes it's hard to hold all 3 wires like this together while you use your pliers to make a twist. It's kind of hard to get them together, get the insulation at the same level. So what I've started to do is just take some electrical tape and just get my wires together, and then wrap a little bit of electrical tape around it, and then that holds, that just kind of helps hold those together so that you can do your twist on the end with the pliers. All right, so I think I got my electricity all hooked up. All right, so let's take a look at my receptacles, just so you can kind of see what I figured out to make this work. Of course, I got the wire coming up, just a little bit of conduit, so the weed eater and that kind of thing doesn't cut the wire. Then I put this little 90. Then I had to kind of figure out how to make another 90, but I didn't want another piece this big because it wouldn't fit. So I kind of just searched and kind of figured out this 90. Good thing about this, it's got the little opening on the side so you can feed your wire in. Now a hint to do this: when I fed the wire through here, I had not glued anything. It was all in separate parts, and I just fed each part onto the wire in succession. Got all the wire through here, got it up into the box, and then glued them. So you'd never be able to get this wire through here if this was already glued and all connected. So, but anyway, I found this receptacles. I wanted something that's kind of a low profile, but yet I wanted a lid. So I found these. type with the lid. It's, you know, the lid is pretty skinny, but you know, you're gonna have to do something about your plug because it usually sticks out pretty far. So I found these 90-degree angles plugs, and I kind of like that because, you know, basically I'm just going to leave that lid shut, and then I can plug in my boat chargers just with this tag in hanging down like that. And then for the shed, you know, I just ran another wire, got me a conduit going right there for the wire coming up, and then inside, you know, I was able to, you know, work my wire. I know it's kind of dark. Hopefully in a second we'll have some light when we go test this. But then I just ran my wire, had a plug receptacle there, you know, ran a line out of that up top here, you know, and that's the plug for my light. Then ran it down, and then this is going to be my plug for, you know, my battery chargers for my drills and that kind of thing. I can set them up here on this lid. So let's get over to the circuit box and see if this all works. All right, so I've got my circuit on. Let's just do a little test here. All right, we have power to the pole barn. Let's come over here and check the shed. Make sure that works okay too. Got this light. All right, well, we have electricity. All right, so I've got all the PVC pipe run. I've got my spigots hooked up. So the last step here is to tie it into the main water line. As you can see, I've already clipped. This is our main water line going this way. I clipped it a little bit ago and let all the water kind of eventually settle running out. So what I'm going to do is tie, you know, this is our line going out to the pole barn. So I'm going to tie into that. Now, I've done a lot of repairs in the past where I've had a, you know, where this part of the pipe has been cracked. And so, you know, the typical way is to put a coupler on, you know, and then try to move these and get it all in there while the glues, you know, before the glue sets. And it's really hard because you don't have a lot of give in this, and it's really tricky, and a lot of times it may not work for you. So a buddy of mine who's a plumber, this is something they do all the time, and what they use is a bunch of 90s. So what you can do is you can make yourself a little 90, and this is the T I'm going to use. Now I'm going to have to cut some more of this off, but the idea is to make yourself a little bypass using these 90s, and then you'll have some more leeway for movement of these things, and it just makes it a lot easier to put in. So I'm going to kind of get all this prepared and kind of get it hooked up, and we'll kind of take you through this step by step. This is just dry fitted, so I've got my two 90s on here just to kind of test it. Now this is going to push in a little, these are going to push in a little more, you know, once you get your glue on, so you're going to have to compensate for that. So my next step is to kind of cut this PVC so that I can put my other 90 on. So to do that, what I did is I cut this 1 3/4 inches. That'll push in nicely on both sides, as well as give me, you know, just a little leeway. So then what I want to do is use this cut piece as my guide, and then I can cut this other piece the exact same size there again to kind of keep things as uniform as possible. There we go. So there we go. So then we'll dry fit this in a little bit. There again, these are going to push in further when you get that glue on, so you've got to compensate for that. And we're just going to kind of build our pieces here. So we've got that. So that's kind of how it's going to end up being. So next, let's get a measurement on what we think these little connector pieces need to be. 1 3/4 inches. Okay, so I've kind of got all this dry fitted. Now these are glued, so you know it's a little bigger, but these are going to press in a good bit, and that'll give me my leeway to push in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this part, this left side, and then that'll give me final adjustment for this side when I put it on, so if it ends up being too far, too less, I can always adjust at that last moment. You know, just having one side to adjust with this already glued will just kind of help me, you know, not have to work so fast with that glue, being I don't do this all the time. So I want to kind of try to make this as foolproof as possible. All right, so let's go ahead and tie in our main right here. Now, I've got a leeway in this because I've got almost 50 feet of straight line. So I think if we kind of mark this, to give myself a little extra leeway. Get this out of there we go. All right, barring any leaks, the plumbing is complete. So let's give this a few minutes to dry and cure, and then we'll turn on the water and give it the old test. All right, while that's drying, I thought I'd kind of show you kind of what the final product looks like. So there again, that's our tie-in, and it just follows this long ditch, and I got the electricity running there too. So here we have our first kind of cut in, and here's one of our spigots. Now what I used here, I had these are SharkBite products. This is a SharkBite spigot here, and I had this left over from some repairs after Hurricane Michael, and still in a bag, and so I was able just to use that. So this is a piece of 3/4 inch PEX, which is what you typically have to use with SharkBite, either copper or PEX. And then that runs into this SharkBite connector that connects your PEX then to your PVC. So then just have my PVC running from there. So that all hooks up there, then makes it across the other way to the pole barn to where I have my other spigot here, and this just is the same sort of setup with that SharkBite spigot PEX down to the PVC. All right, got the water on, checked for leaks, things look good, and we have water. All right, so I just need to get the dirt in this ditch, and this project will be complete. Been meaning to do this for quite some time. It's going to be a lot more convenient to have the water and the electricity out here at the pole barn. So if you're unfamiliar with my channel, I usually do fishing videos. I try to get out a fishing video about once a week. I do inshore and offshore, just kind of showing you action on the water, as well as some tips and tricks that I've learned. And I give you a takeaway each day of kind of what I've learned that day, or maybe just a reinforcement. If you'll do me a big favor and please subscribe to this channel. It's free for you. It just adds me to your list of preferred channels, but what it does for me, it really gives me a feedback from the viewers, as well as let me know that I'm starting to build a community. So I would really appreciate you if you did that. Also, leave a comment below, and please hit the like button. Until next time, we'll see you on another episode of Forgotten Coast Fishing.